There's a weird cycle in gaming that keeps happening. A game comes out, people play it, they pick it apart, and then they say it's not as good as the older ones. And then years later, suddenly that same game is looked at like, wait, this actually wasn't that bad. And that's exactly what I think happened with Fallout 4. Because yeah, I get it. It's not perfect, it's not as deep as the older entries, and it definitely changed a lot of things that people didn't love. But looking at where Bethesda is right now, I think we owe this game an apology. But before we get into that, if you guys don't know me by now, I'm Mr. Frosty Flames, but you can call me Mike. We do anything gaming news, reviews, playthroughs, analysis, and we do it in a chill way with no over editing BS. So if you like that style of content, be sure to hit that sub button and join the Mr. Frosty Flames Legion. Anyways, back to the video. Yes, before we start, Fallout 4 has real flaws. Let's not rewrite history here, because even at launch, Fallout 4 had a lot of things that rubbed fans the wrong way. The game was just broken at launch, and then on top of that, you had RPG systems that were clearly simplified compared to older entries. You had a dialogue system that removed a lot of nuance, a heavier shift towards shooter gameplay instead of deep roleplay, and then the usual Bethesda bugs and jank that people have come to expect. And if you directly compare it to something like, say, Fallout New Vegas, or even older Fallout titles, yeah, it's not gonna compete in pure role-playing depth. New Vegas especially gave players insane freedom on how quests could play out, factions reacting differently, and consequences that actually mattered in long-term ways. Fallout 4 definitely streamlined things. It became more accessible, more action focused, and more sort of just like pick up and play. And at the time, that change didn't sit well with a lot of longtime fans who wanted a deeper RPG system, not simplified ones. But here's the twist. Because while everyone was focused on what Fallout 4 lost, they weren't paying attention to what gaming was about to become after it. And obviously at the time, I'm not hating on anyone that was hating on Fallout 4. We couldn't have known how Bethesda was going to be, but I'm just saying looking back at it now. And remember when Todd Howard said, "It just works"? Well, I feel like we didn't realize the value of it just working, because at release, Fallout 4 felt like a good but disappointing game to a lot of people. There was a lot of things we seriously took for granted, like it was actually playable at launch. You could install it, jump in, and experience the full game without constantly fighting crashes, broken systems, or unplayable states. Yes, it was a Bethesda game, you crashed a lot, but it wasn't like Fallout 76 level or even Starfield level. And on top of that, the world was massive and always had something nearby. The exploration loop was genuinely addictive. Combat, while simple, was smooth and responsive, and there were a huge amount of content at launch. I mean, especially for Bethesda standards. And it was one of those games that you could just sink in hours into without constantly being interrupted by technical disasters or missing systems. And in hindsight, that already puts it in a better position than a lot of modern releases, because we didn't realize how rare a stable, complete single-player RPG at launch would actually become. And then we got Fallout 76, and you guys know where this goes, because this is where perspective really starts to shift. Because Fallout 76 wasn't just a different game and people didn't like it because it was different. It was a fundamental shift in direction. Instead of a traditional style single player Fallout RPG experience, we got a multiplayer focused design. We had no traditional NPCs at launch, and you're hearing that right. At launch, there were 0 NPCs. Todd Howard said that he wanted every player to be the NPC that you come across or something like that, but come on, players don't act like NPCs. They're just going to be doing their own thing, doing their own quests. And then you had a world that felt emptier and less grounded, and a launch state that was, to put it very lightly, was very rough. And even after updates and improvements over time, the initial damage to perception of Fallout 76 was already done. The identity of Fallout itself felt like it was being stretched into something it wasn't originally built for. And that's when people started doing something interesting. They went back to Fallout 4, and suddenly that disappointing Fallout game didn't look so bad anymore, because compared to what came after, Fallout 4 actually felt like a complete, grounded, functioning single-player experience. It wasn't perfect, but it was actually feeling complete. And in modern video game standards, that alone is a big deal. I remember buying Fallout 76 at launch, and I was like, what the hell hell is this? Because it was so ass. I remember being bored within the first 2 to 3 hours because one, there are no NPCs to populate the land, so it's like I'm just walking around and there are these cool locations, but there's no one to talk to. Of course, I'm finding other players, but they're all just doing their own thing in their own little world. And then the quests were told via holotapes or like these things you put in your Pip-Boy and you listen to the audio, and it just wasn't fun. And I'm like, what happened to Bethesda? NPCs were one of the biggest reasons why Bethesda games were so great. The jank of the NPCs were so great. In Skyrim and Fallout, any other Bethesda game, you could have companions with you, and all that is just gone. All the factions felt soulless because there was nobody really to talk to in the factions. Like, it was just you and you alone, and it just sucks. And then came Starfield. And this is where things get even more complicated, because Starfield is ambitious in a way that most games aren't even trying to be anymore. For instance, you have a huge universe, you have space exploration, deep systems, custom ships, and a massive scope that you could just do everything in. And on paper, it sounds like a dream Bethesda project. It sounds like something that Mass Effect should go into, but the reception showed something important. Bigger doesn't always mean better. A lot of players felt that exploration became repetitive faster than expected. Planets felt similar after a while. It was like you just land and there's nothing. Cities and hubs don't always feel as alive as expected, and some systems just didn't connect as smoothly as they should have. It was ambitious, no doubt, but it didn't always feel tight, and that's when something unexpected happened in the community. People then started comparing it back to Fallout 4, and then they realized something kind of uncomfortable to them. They said, wait, Fallout 4 might actually be more consistently fun moment to moment than Starfield. It wasn't deeper in systems, it wasn't more ambitious, not even more expansive, but more reliable in delivering gameplay that actually keeps you engaged. And that says a lot, because people say now Fallout 4 was the last good Bethesda game to ever come out. Because even now, Fallout 4 holds up in ways that people don't always give it credit for. The gameplay loop is still strong. You could, for example, explore and constantly run into side content. You could get into combat that feels actually responsive and satisfying. You could also build settlements and actually see your progress physically change the world. You could pick up random quests and still get something meaningful out of them. These are things that modern Bethesda games sort of lack. It's not trying to overwhelm you with systems, it's trying to keep you playing. And honestly, it succeeds at that more often than people admit. There's a reason so many players still return to it years later. It's comfortable, it works, and it's fun in a straightforward way. Now let's be clear, Fallout 4 isn't the deepest Fallout game. It's not beating older entries in terms of role-playing freedom, narrative branching, or dialogue complexity. Older games absolutely win these categories, there's no debate there, but that's not really the conversation anymore. The real question now is Fallout 4 still a good game compared to modern Bethesda releases? And when you look through that lens, the answer becomes a lot more positive, because it might honestly be one of the last Bethesda games where everything functioned consistently at launch, the world design felt cohesive and grounded, and the core gameplay loop was immediately enjoyable without needing major overhauls. It's not perfect, but it's dependable, and that's something people tend to value more over time. So yeah, Fallout 4 isn't the perfect RPG. It made compromises, it simplified systems, it changed things fans cared about, but in hindsight, it also represents something we didn't appreciate enough at the time: a complete, playable, fun RPG game made by Bethesda that didn't require years of fixes to become enjoyable. And when you compare that to what came after, it's not hard to look back and rethink how we judged it, because maybe Fallout 4 wasn't the beginning of Bethesda's downfall. Maybe it was the last time they really delivered a consistently fun single player experience at launch, and that's why we owe Fallout 4 an apology. But that's just my take. Let me know what you guys think down below. Are you guys still playing Fallout 4? I think I want to just jump back in and start playing it again after I finish maybe Fallout 3 or New Vegas. Those are better games, obviously, but yeah, that's just where I'm at. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to join the Frosty Flames Legion. Thank you all for watching. Mr. Frosty Flames out. Ciao.